All right, so it looks like you're really thinking about diving into some research opportunities.
That's great.
Yeah, definitely a smart move.
Hmm.
The medical world is all about these new discoveries, right?
Absolutely.
You've sent us a ton of stuff, articles, advice. And it seems like you're thinking ahead, whether you're pre-med or already in med school, but
Right.
I can imagine it's a little overwhelming.
Oh, yeah, you're not alone in feeling like that. There's just so much information out there.
Right.
But that's where having a good plan comes in handy.
Exactly. And that's what we're here for. We've gone through all of it and we'll break it down into
Yeah.
manageable pieces.
Bite-sized pieces.
We'll start with why research is so valuable right now.
It's huge.
Then we'll get into finding your niche, how to reach out to people in a way that actually works,
Yes.
and what it takes to really succeed once you're on a research team.
And something to keep in mind is research. It's not just about like checking boxes on your CV. It's
Mhm.
about really getting a deeper understanding of medicine itself.
For sure.
And residency programs are really looking for that.
Oh, absolutely. Especially for competitive specialties, research can really set you apart.
Yeah.
There was this study that showed applicants to surgical residencies, the ones with publications, they had a 15% higher match rate
Wow.
than the applicants without any publications. So
It makes a difference.
it shows you're not just passionate about learning medicine, you're passionate about pushing the boundaries of knowledge.
Totally. And think about the skills you develop through research. Critical thinking, data analysis, collaboration.
Mhm.
Those are so valuable in any medical career. You're not just becoming a better applicant, you're becoming a more well-rounded physician.
It's like you're building a superpowered toolkit
Exactly.
for your future medical self and med school. It's the
Yeah.
perfect time to do it.
Absolutely.
You've got mentors,
Yeah.
labs, libraries, this whole ecosystem of support right at your fingertips.
You're surrounded by experts who are literally shaping the future of medicine.
Cool.
So don't be shy about reaching out to them.
All right, so we've established research is awesome.
Mhm.
It can really boost your career.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you even begin finding the right opportunity? It's
Yeah.
easy to get lost in all those research papers and lab websites. Where do you even start?
Start local. Think about it like a treasure hunt right on your own campus. Faculty profiles, student clubs, even those departmental seminars that you might be tempted to skip,
Uh-huh.
those can be gold mines for uncovering hidden research gems.
So the opportunities are already there. You just have to know where to look.
Exactly.
What about conferences? I know a lot of people think they're just for presenting research, but I've heard they're great for networking and getting a feel for the latest trends.
Absolutely. Conferences are like a sneak peek into the future of medicine.
Okay.
You get to see what other researchers are excited about, meet potential mentors, just absorb the energy of discovery. Plus, you don't have to limit yourself to your specific specialty just yet. Think about transferable skills that would make you valuable to any research team.
No.
Data analysis writing, those are always in demand.
Okay, so you've scoped out the landscape, you've attended some seminars, maybe even a conference or two, but how do you choose the right research area for you? I mean, it's great to be passionate about something, but you also want to make sure it aligns with your goals. And let's be honest, it catches the eye of those residency program directors.
You hit the nail on the head. It's all about finding that sweet spot between genuine interest and strategic thinking.
Uh-huh.
Think about it. Are you drawn to clinical research working directly with patients?
Right.
Or does the idea of exploring fundamental biological processes in a lab setting excite you?
Go.
Maybe you're passionate about public health and tackling health issues on a larger scale.
Our sources highlighted a bunch of different research types:
Mm-hmm.
clinical trials, retrospective chart reviews, systematic reviews, each with its own set of methods and potential impact.
Exactly. And once you have a general area in mind, the real magic happens when you start looking for those gaps in the literature.
Gaps in the literature.
That's where truly groundbreaking research emerges.
Okay, gaps in the literature. How do you even find those? Do you just read every research paper ever published?
Uh-huh. No need to go that deep.
Okay,
But a solid grasp of the existing research is definitely key.
right.
Our sources suggest paying close attention to the discussion and conclusion sections of recent publications.
Okay.
Often researchers will explicitly state limitations of their study or areas that need further investigation.
Oh, so it's like they're leaving you a trail of breadcrumbs leading you towards those uncharted territories of research.
Exactly. And the more you immerse yourself in a particular field, the more you'll start to see those gaps emerge naturally.
And those gaps were where the real innovation happens.
Absolutely. You're not just replicating what's already been done, you're pushing the boundaries of knowledge and potentially making a real impact on patient care.
So you found your niche, you've identified a gap in the literature, Now, the big question, how do you actually get your foot in the door with a research team?
Right.
I'm picturing like a mountain of emails to faculty,
Uh-huh.
most of which probably get lost in the abyss of their inboxes.
It's true. Generic emails rarely get a second glance, but here's the secret weapon: personalization.
Okay.
Remember all that research you did on potential mentors and their work?
Uh-huh.
Now's the time to put it to use.
Okay, so no more dear esteemed professor emails. Got it.
All right.
But how do you make your outreach stand out? What are some specific things you can mention to grab their attention?
Think about it like this. You're not just applying for a job. You're expressing a genuine interest in their research and demonstrating how your skills and passions align with their work.
Okay.
Mention specific publications that resonated with you, explain why their research sparked your curiosity,
Right.
and highlight what you bring to the table.
So it's about showcasing your enthusiasm and making a personal connection.
Exactly.
But what if you're still not getting any responses? Is email even the best way to go?
Email is a good starting point, but don't be afraid to get creative. LinkedIn is a fantastic tool for connecting with researchers and learning more about their current projects.
Okay.
And believe it or not, Twitter is becoming a surprisingly powerful platform for scientific discourse.
Wait, seriously. Twitter for research. I'm picturing memes about mitochondria.
Well, there might be a few of those.
Okay.
But you'd be surprised how many researchers are actively engaging in thoughtful discussions on Twitter. It's a great way to demonstrate your interest in a particular field and connect with potential mentors in a less formal setting. You can even use Twitter to stay updated on the latest research findings and hot topics in your area of interest.
Okay, Twitter for research. I'm add that to my to-do list.
Good idea.
And don't forget the power of in-person networking.
Oh, for sure.
Conferences, seminars, even just departmental gatherings. Those are all prime opportunities to introduce yourself and make a memorable first impression.
Absolutely. Think of it like planting seeds. The more connections you make, the more opportunities will sprout up. And speaking of putting yourself out there, here's a pro tip from the trenches. Prepare an elevator pitch, summarizing your skills and research interests.
Okay.
That way, if you do happen to bump into a potential mentor, you're ready to make the most of that chance encounter.
So it's like a mini commercial for yourself as a researcher. I love it.
Exactly.
But let's say you've aced the outreach, you've landed the research role. What happens next? What does it actually look like to be a successful researcher, especially when you're juggling a million other things?
That's a great question, and one that many aspiring researchers grapple with. It's all about understanding the big picture and how your work contributes to the overall project before you even start collecting data or writing code. Take the time to really grasp the research question, the methodology, and the potential impact of the findings.
This is like knowing where you fit into the grand scheme of the research project.
Exactly. And speaking of direction, time management is crucial. Break down large projects into smaller milestones. Use tools like Gantt charts to visualize your progress. And most importantly, communicate.
There's that communication theme again.
Right.
It seems like being a good communicator is just as important as being a good scientist.
It absolutely is, especially in research, which is often a highly collaborative endeavor. And here's a pro tip from the trenches. Document everything.
Okay.
Your research notebook is your best friend. Detailed notes, methodology, results. It's not just about staying organized. It's about ensuring the integrity and reproducibility of your work.
All right, so you're rocking the research role, you're collecting data, analyzing results, but eventually you're going to want to share those findings with the world.
Yes.
That's where publishing and presenting come in. And let's be honest, this part can feel a little intimidating, especially for someone who's new to the research game.
It's definitely a whole new skill set, but it's also incredibly exciting.
Okay.
Think about it. You're not just conducting research, you're contributing to the body of scientific knowledge. Your work has the potential to impact the way medicine is practiced, to improve patient outcomes, and to shape the future of healthcare.
That's amazing.
It is.
But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's break down the publishing process. First things first. How do you choose the right journal to submit your work to? I know there are tons of journals out there, each with its own focus and audience.
And that's where understanding the concept of impact factor comes in.
Okay.
It's a metric that reflects how often articles in a particular journal are cited by other researchers, which is a way of measuring its influence and reach within the scientific community.
So higher impact factor equals more prestigious journal.
Generally, yes, and aiming for those high-impact journals can increase the visibility of your work and boost your own credibility as a researcher. But it's not always that simple. Some lower-impact journals might be more specialized to your specific research area, which could mean a more targeted audience and a higher chance of acceptance.
It's like choosing the right platform for your message.
They-
A niche journal might not have the same global reach as a big, high-impact one, but it could be the perfect place to connect with the researchers who are most likely to be interested in your work.
Exactly. It's a strategic decision and one that's worth discussing with your mentor and your research team. They can offer valuable insights into the publishing landscape and help you choose the best journal for your particular study.
Okay, so we've got impact factor figured out. What about the actual writing process? I've heard scientific papers have a very specific structure and style.
They do, and the gold standard for scientific writing is the IMRAD structure, introduction, methods, results, and discussion.
Okay.
This format ensures that your research is presented in a clear, logical, and reproducible way. Think of it as a roadmap that guides the reader through your research journey.
IMRAD got it. Sounds like a secret handshake for the scientific community.
Kind of, yeah. It's a way of ensuring that scientific findings are communicated in a standardized and transparent way. And no matter what journal you're submitting to, mastering this structure will make your paper stronger and more likely to be accepted.
Okay, IMRAD structure check.
Yeah.
But what about the abstract? I know that's the first thing reviewers see, and it's basically a make or break moment for your paper.
The abstract is like the movie trailer for your research. It needs to be concise, compelling, and highlight the novelty of your findings in a way that grabs the reader's attention and makes them want to learn more.
So no pressure, right?
Haha, right. But seriously, a well-written abstract can make all the difference.
Yeah.
It's your chance to showcase the significance of your research and convince reviewers that your paper is worth reading in full.
Okay, what about conference presentations? I've seen those massive poster sessions at conferences. It's like a science fair on steroids.
They can be a bit overwhelming, but they're also an incredible opportunity to share your work, get feedback from experts, and network with other researchers in your field.
So how do you make your poster stand out in a sea of research? I've seen some that are just walls of text, and others that are super visually engaging. Is there a secret formula?
There are definitely some best practices. Think clear visuals, minimal text, and a logical flow that guides the viewer through your research story. You want to capture their attention and convey your key findings in a way that's easy to digest even for someone who's just passing by.
Got it. So less is more when it comes to poster design.
Yes.
But what about actually presenting the poster? I always get nervous just thinking about standing there while people scrutinize my work. How do you handle those nerves and make sure you're communicating your research effectively?
That's a great question, and one that many researchers can relate to. The key is to be prepared, practice your presentation beforehand, and remember that you're the expert on your research. No one knows it better than you.
Okay, that's reassuring. But
Alright.
what if someone asks a question I don't know the answer to? I just make something up.
Definitely not. It's perfectly fine to say, that's a great question, and I need to do a little more research to give you a comprehensive answer.
Okay.
You can even offer to follow up with them later via email. The key is to be honest and transparent and to show that you're always willing to learn and grow.
I love that it's like turning a potentially awkward moment into an opportunity to show your commitment to scientific rigor.
Exactly. And remember, conference presentations are a chance to engage in dialogue with other researchers. Don't be afraid to ask questions yourself, to share your insights, and to learn from others.
So it's a two-way street.
Absolutely. Conferences are all about sharing knowledge, sparking new ideas, and building connections within the research community. Think of it as a giant brainstorming session where everyone is contributing to the advancement of medical knowledge.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
From finding research opportunities to crafting a killer outreach strategy to understanding the nuances of publishing and presenting. I'm feeling so much more confident about navigating the research landscape now.
That's fantastic to hear. And we're just getting started. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore some of the more nuanced aspects of succeeding in research, from navigating team dynamics to handling those inevitable ethical challenges that can arise.
Stay tuned.
Yes, we'll be right back.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were getting super pumped about all those exciting possibilities in research. You know, choosing a journal with the right impact factor,
Yeah.
presenting your findings at a conference. But
Right.
research isn't all about data and experiments. It's about people, too.
Yes.
Working effectively as part of a team, navigating the ethical dimensions of research, those are crucial skills for any aspiring scientist.
You're absolutely right. Having the right tools and resources is essential, but succeeding in research also requires mastering the art of collaboration and ethical decision-making. These are the soft skills that can really make or break a research project, and they're often overlooked in traditional academic settings.
So let's start with team dynamics.
Mm.
I mean, research is rarely a solo endeavor. You're usually working with a mentor, other students, maybe even lab technicians or postdocs.
Right.
It's like a mini ecosystem of scientific minds. How do you make sure everyone is on the same page and working together effectively?
Communication is key. Just like in any successful relationship, regular meetings, clearly defined roles and responsibilities, open and honest feedback. These are all crucial elements of a high-functioning research team.
So it's not just about showing up and doing your assigned tasks.
No.
You need to actively participate in the team's communication and decision-making processes.
Exactly. Research is a dynamic process and things are constantly changing. New data emerges, unexpected challenges arise, and the direction of the project might shift.
Right.
It's important for everyone on the team to be aware of these changes and to feel comfortable sharing their thoughts and perspectives.
That makes sense. It's like you're all in this together trying to solve a scientific puzzle.
Yeah.
But what about when things get, well, tense? I mean, research can be stressful. Deadlines loom, experiments fail, and sometimes personalities clash. How do you handle conflicts or disagreements within the team?
Conflict is inevitable in any collaborative setting, and research is no exception, but it doesn't have to be a negative thing.
Okay.
In fact, conflict can often lead to creative solutions and a deeper understanding of the issues at hand. The key is to address conflicts directly but calmly and professionally. Avoid letting emotions get the best of you and focus on finding a solution that works for everyone.
Easier said than done sometimes. Do you have any tips on how to actually have those difficult conversations? It's easy to get defensive or avoid conflict altogether.
One approach is to start by acknowledging the other person's perspective. Even if you don't agree with them, showing that you understand where they're coming from can help de-escalate the situation and create a more open dialogue.
It's like you're saying, hey, I see you, I hear you, and I respect your opinion, even if we don't see eye to eye on this particular issue.
Exactly. It's about validating their feelings and creating a safe space for open and respectful communication. And then once you've both had a chance to express your perspective, you can start to focus on finding common ground.
Okay.
What are you both trying to achieve? What are the shared goals?
So instead of getting bogged down in who's right or wrong, you're looking for a solution that moves the project forward in a way that everyone can support.
Right, and sometimes a little compromise is necessary, but as long as everyone feels heard and respected, you can usually find a way to work through disagreements and come out stronger as a team.
Yeah.
In fact, I've found that some of the most innovative solutions have emerged from those moments of healthy debate and constructive criticism.
That's so true. It's
Yeah.
like the friction of different perspectives can actually spark new ideas and lead to breakthroughs that you might not have achieved otherwise.
Exactly. It's all about harnessing that creative tension in a positive and productive way. And remember, a good mentor can play a crucial role in facilitating those difficult conversations and guiding the team towards a resolution.
Speaking of mentors, I think it's important to acknowledge that power dynamics can sometimes come into play in research settings, especially between mentors and mentees.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever encountered situations where those power dynamics created challenges or ethical dilemmas?
Absolutely. Mentorship is a complex relationship, and it's important to be mindful of the inherent power imbalance. A good mentor should strive to create a supportive and equitable environment where mentees feel valued and respected, but unfortunately, that's not always the case.
So what can you do if you find yourself in a situation where you feel uncomfortable or pressured by your mentor? Who can you turn to for support or guidance?
That's a tough situation to be in, and it's important to remember that you're not alone. Many institutions have resources in place to support students and trainees who are experiencing challenges in their research environment. There are often ombudsman ethics committees or other confidential reporting mechanisms available. Don't be afraid to reach out and seek help if you need it.
Okay, team dynamics and power dynamics. Check. What about the broader ethical landscape of research? I know there are all sorts of rules and regulations, but it seems like there's also a lot of gray area. How do you navigate those tricky ethical dilemmas that can pop up in research?
Ethical considerations are woven into every aspect of research, and they're not always black and white. It's not just about following a set of rules. It's about developing a strong ethical compass and being able to apply those principles to real-world situations.
So it's not enough to just memorize the guidelines you need to actually
Yes.
think about the ethical implications of your actions and decisions.
Absolutely. Research involves human subjects, sensitive data, and the potential for both positive and negative impacts on society. You need to be constantly asking yourself questions like, is this research being conducted ethically? Am I protecting the privacy and confidentiality of my participants? Are my methods sound and unbiased? Am I considering the potential risks and benefits of my research?
Wow, that's a lot to consider. It's like you're not just a scientist, you're also an ethicist.
In a way, yes. And that's why it's so important to have open and honest conversations with your mentor and your team about any ethical concerns you might have. Don't be afraid to speak up if something doesn't feel right, or if you're unsure about the ethical implications of a particular decision.
What if you're working on a project and you start to have some doubts?
Yeah.
Maybe you're not sure if the informed consent process is adequate, or you're concerned about how the data is being interpreted. What should you do?
First, try to gather as much information as you can, talk to your mentor, review the relevant ethical guidelines, and see if there's any precedent for handling similar situations. If you're still unsure, many institutions have research ethics committees or ombudsmen who can provide guidance and support.
So you don't have to figure it out on your own. There are resources available to help you navigate those tricky ethical waters.
Exactly. There are people who are specifically trained to address ethical challenges in research, and they can offer valuable insights and support. And remember, even if you're just a student or a junior researcher, you have a responsibility to speak up if you see something that's not right.
It's like that old saying, if you see something, say something, but for research ethics.
Exactly. Ethical research is everyone's responsibility, and it's crucial to foster a culture of openness and accountability within the research community.
Okay, we've covered team dynamics, power dynamics, and ethical considerations. But let's be real. Research isn't all about high-minded ideals and collaborative brainstorming sessions. It can be a grind balancing research with everything else in your life. Coursework, clinical rotations, maybe even a part-time job or family commitments can be a real juggling act.
Right.
How do you stay on top of it all without burning out?
You've hit on one of the biggest challenges for aspiring researchers. Time management is absolutely crucial, and it's something that many students and trainees struggle with.
Oh, I can definitely relate to that. I've heard so many med students talk about feeling overwhelmed and stretched thin, especially when they're trying to fit research into an already packed schedule. It's like trying to squeeze a square peg into a round hole.
I hear you, and that's why it's so important to be realistic about your time commitments and to set clear boundaries before you even start a research project. Have an honest conversation with your mentor about how much time you can realistically dedicate each week. And once you've established those boundaries, stick to them, treat your research time like any other important appointment, and schedule it into your calendar.
It's a great tip. I'm a big fan of time blocking, so I'm totally on board with that. But what about those unexpected fire drills that always seem to pop up? The last-minute assignment that's due tomorrow or the patient who needs extra attention during your clinical rotation. How do you deal with those inevitable disruptions?
Flexibility is key. You can't plan for every eventuality. So build some buffer time into your schedule to accommodate those unexpected demands. And don't be afraid to communicate with your mentor if things get really crazy.
Yeah.
They've been there, they understand, and they'd rather know what's going on than have you disappear off the radar.
It's all about open communication and realistic expectations. And speaking of expectations, how do you deal with that feeling of, well, not knowing enough?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, research can be so specialized, and you're surrounded by people who've been doing it for years. It's easy to feel like an imposter.
Oh, imposter syndrome. It's the research companion that no one wants, but everyone seems to have at some point.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's totally understandable. You're stepping into a new field, you're learning a ton, and you're surrounded by people who are experts in their areas. It's natural to feel a bit out of your depth sometimes.
So how do you silence that inner critic that's telling you you're not good enough?
Yeah.
It can be so demoralizing.
First, acknowledge that it's normal to feel this way. You're not alone. Talk to your peers. Your mentor, chances are they've experienced imposter syndrome at some point in their careers as well.
Yeah.
It's like a secret club that no one wants to admit they're a member of.
Exactly. But once you realize it's a common experience, it takes some of the power away. It's like, oh, it's not just me. Other people feel this way too. Okay, maybe I'm not a total fraud after all.
Exactly. And then focus on what you do know and what you have accomplished. Celebrate those small wins, acknowledge your progress, and remind yourself that you're there for a reason you were chosen to be part of this research team, because someone saw potential in you.
So trust the process and trust the people who believe in you.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask questions. No one expects you to know everything right away. Research is all about learning and growing. The more questions you ask, the more you'll learn and the more confident you'll become. Embrace that beginner's mindset.
Okay, that's great advice. But what about when the challenge isn't internal but external? Like what happens when you're working on a project and you realize that the resources are limited? Maybe the lab doesn't have the equipment you need or there's not enough funding to support your research. How do you deal with those constraints?
Resource limitations are a reality for many researchers, especially those working in academic settings or in fields that aren't as well funded as others. But it's amazing how much you can achieve with a little creativity and resourcefulness.
Right.
Sometimes those constraints force you to think outside the box and come up with innovative solutions that you might not have considered otherwise.
So it's like that saying necessity is the mother of invention.
Exactly. For example, if your lab doesn't have access to a particular piece of equipment, could you collaborate with another lab that does? Or if funding is limited, could you explore alternative funding sources like grants or crowdfunding? Or maybe you can modify your research question or your methodology to work within the existing constraints.
I love that it's like turning a limitation into an opportunity. It's a chance to get creative and resourceful, to think strategically about how to achieve your research goals within the given parameters.
Absolutely. It's about being adaptable and persistent and not letting those external challenges derail your research aspirations. And remember, you can always consult with your mentor and your research team to brainstorm solutions and explore different options.
That's so true. It's all about teamwork and leveraging the collective wisdom of the group. But even with the best resources and the most supportive team, research can be a long and winding road. How do you stay motivated and keep that fire burning, especially when you're working on a project that might take months or even years to complete? I mean, it's easy to lose steam when you're not seeing immediate results.
That's where passion and a clear sense of purpose come in. Remind yourself why you're doing this research, what impact it could have on patients' lives or on the advancement of medical knowledge. Keep those big picture goals in mind, but also break down the project into smaller, more manageable milestones so you can celebrate those successes along the way.
So it's like running a marathon. You focus on the finish line, but you also appreciate each mile marker along the way.
Perfect analogy, and don't be afraid to take breaks when you need them. Stepping away from the research for a bit can actually help you come back with fresh eyes and renewed energy.
It's like that saying, distance makes the heart grow fonder. But for research, sometimes you need to step back and gain a fresh perspective in order to appreciate the beauty and complexity of the work you're doing.
Haha, exactly. And remember, you're not alone in this journey. Research is often a team effort, so lean on your colleagues for support, encouragement, and maybe even a little commiseration when things get tough. Sharing your experiences and challenges with others who understand what you're going through can be incredibly validating and motivating.
There's that teamwork theme again. It really does seem like surrounding yourself with the right people is one of the keys to success in research. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, from team dynamics to ethical dilemmas to staying motivated through the long haul. I'm feeling so much more prepared to tackle the challenges of research now.
That's fantastic to hear. And we're not done yet. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll shift our focus to the big picture and explore the various pathways to building a fulfilling and impactful research career, no matter what your ultimate goals may be.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back after a quick break. Okay, we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into the world of research.
Sounds good.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling super energized after that last conversation. We talked about everything from team dynamics and conflict resolution to navigating those tricky ethical dilemmas that can pop up in research. It's clear that succeeding in research isn't just about having the right technical skills.
Right.
It's about building strong relationships, making ethical decisions, and staying motivated through the ups and downs.
You hit the nail on the head. It's about cultivating a holistic approach to research.
Yeah.
One that encompasses both the scientific rigor and the human element. And that brings us to our final point, envisioning a research-focused career. Now, I know this might sound daunting, especially if you're just starting out on your research journey.
Right.
But here's the thing. A research-focused career doesn't necessarily mean becoming a full-time academic or spending your life in a lab.
Okay, so what does it look like? Because I know a lot of med students are interested in research, but they also want to see patients, actually practice medicine.
Right.
Is it possible to combine those passions?
Absolutely. There are so many ways to integrate research into a clinical career. It could mean staying up to date on the latest research in your specialty, participating in clinical trials, or even leading quality improvement projects at your hospital or clinic. It's about maintaining that research mindset, that curiosity and that drive to find better ways to care for your patients no matter what setting you're in.
So it's like weaving research into the fabric of your clinical practice.
Exactly. It's about being a lifelong learner, constantly seeking new knowledge and applying it to real-world patient care. And for those who are truly passionate about pushing the boundaries of medical knowledge and making groundbreaking discoveries,
Yeah.
there are more traditional research paths like pursuing a PhD, doing a postdoc, or even becoming a faculty member at a university or research institution.
Okay, so there's a whole spectrum of possibilities.
There is.
From integrating research into your clinical practice to becoming a full-fledged research scientist, but how do you know which path is right for you? It's like standing at a crossroads
Right.
with a million different paths leading into the research forest.
That's such a great analogy, and honestly, the answer might not be clear right away.
Right.
The beauty of research is that it's a journey of self-discovery as much as it is a journey of scientific discovery. The key is to stay open to new experiences, try different things, and see what sparks your curiosity.
So it's like that saying, don't be afraid to take the road less traveled.
Exactly. You might be surprised where it leads you, and remember, even if you don't end up pursuing a career in research, the skills and experiences you gain along the way will be invaluable no matter what path you choose.
Yeah.
Think about it. Research teaches you to think critically, solve problems, creatively, communicate effectively, and persevere through challenges.
Right.
These are skills that are in high demand in any field, whether it's medicine, business law, or even the arts.
It's like a crash course in essential life skills disguised as a research project.
Haha, exactly. And beyond the transferable skills, there's also the personal growth that comes with research. You learn to embrace challenges, persevere through setbacks, and find joy in the process of discovery. It's a journey of self-discovery as much as it is a journey of scientific exploration.
Wow. We've covered so much in this deep dive, from the nitty-gritty details of finding research opportunities and crafting a compelling outreach strategy to the broader themes of teamwork, ethical decision-making, and envisioning a research-focused career. I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on the world of research.
I'm so glad to hear that. And remember, no matter where you are on your research journey, whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro, there's always more to learn, new challenges to embrace, and unexpected discoveries waiting to be made.
It's like the research adventure never truly ends.
Exactly. So keep that curiosity alive, stay persistent, and never stop exploring the frontiers of medical knowledge. And remember, by embracing a research mindset, you're not just advancing your career, you're contributing to a healthier future. For everyone who knows, maybe someday you'll be the one making those groundbreaking discoveries that change the world.
That's a great note to end on. So to our listeners out there, remember, the world of research is waiting for you. Go out there, ask those questions, explore those possibilities, and never stop learning.